What's up, everybody? Welcome to Changing of the Hip Hop Guards podcast. I am the journalist Sinseer. That's my partner, Uncle E. Today we have a special guest. He goes by the name of Self-Service, producer extraordinaire. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
No problem. Thank you, gentlemen, for having me, man.
Nah, no problem, man. We appreciate your time, man. 100%.
Thank you.
We want to start off a little bit, taking it all the way back, and then we're going to work it all the way up to what you currently are having going on in your life. If you could take us back to where you were born and raised.
Born and raised in Shadyville, Queens, New York, man. Queens Village, from back, basically Queens, South Side and Queens Village, but my town that I rep, where my hood is Shadyville. That's where I'm from.
Shadyville, okay. Infamous Shadyville.
Yeah, the infamous Shadyville. A lot of dudes come from my hood too, so that's a whole nother talk in its own. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we're gonna definitely touch on some of that because you know a little bit of everybody.
Yeah, I do.
Take us back a little bit to obstacles growing up in Shadyville.
I'm on an interview. So, I'm sorry.
Nah, don't worry. Don't worry.
Yeah, I got a big family, man. I got 14 kids, man. You know what I'm saying? So, I moved, and before I get there, I moved to Miami. I got a big house with my kids, and they come. I'm daddy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He do what he do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but,
that's beautiful, man.
Thank you. So Shadyville. I'm one of the founding fathers of that neighborhood. Like, I've been out in that neighborhood, in that hood. We the ones that changed the name of Shadyville. Niggas was calling it Queens Village at first, and then, Hollis. If anybody know anything about Queens, Hollis niggas, South Side niggas, they always had that little beef with the South Side and the Hollis shit. But the Hollis niggas, we was all the way on the north side of Queens, like right before you get to Long Island by Belmont Park. So. Yep. The Hollis niggas didn't claim us, and then the South Side niggas didn't claim nothing on the North Side. You know what I'm saying? Right. So we had to make our own noise on our own for the niggas coming from Long Island trying to come into Queens, and then the Queens niggas, we had to make a name for ourselves. We felt like everybody was trying to play us. And then I'm talking about back in the 80s, early 80s. You know what I'm saying? Like, from like 79 to like 80, from 79 up. And then, I grew up over there. Me and my man, God bless the dead, Elgin, he passed away. He got killed on the block. Everybody that knows Shadyville know he's like one of the founding fathers. And it was like me, the dude, Coach PR, if y'all know him from Sirius Satellite Radio.
Okay.
That's my brother. You know what I'm saying? We like this. Him, my man Ever, we all like the dudes that made niggas start respecting it. And then they started calling us shady niggas because we were, we had to do what we had to do. And it was Queens Village, so it was Shadyville, USA. And a lot of dudes come out my hood, from Steve Stout to Irv Gotti to Christian Irv Gotti, Steve Stout. Clue and them come from my neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? And the list goes on. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's right there on the borderline of Hollis. So if you're talking about Springfield and Hempstead, you know what I'm saying? And then Springfield and Hollis Ave, you know what I'm saying? We had everything from Springfield and Hempstead all the way to like Belmont Park by the Parkway. But we grew up with a lot of dudes in the music industry, and I know a lot of people. Shy Money XL is one of my boys, very good friend of mine. He's from the neighborhood. That's how Fifth got his start through the Shad stuff. So, our neighborhood is, really had a lot of people contribute to hip hop from my hood. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Earlier on, can you tell us what the scene was like before you got into music personally? What was the scene like musically growing up in Queens?
It was hip hop as it could be. You know what I'm saying? Like, I come from the era when hip hop started.
Right.
I remember the very first hip hop record. It was King James. You know what I'm saying? I remember the King James shit. I remember Sugar Hill. all the rest of that. No, it's right. It was, I remember King James. I remember all that. Then Running Them came out my neighborhood. So hip hop was a part of our whole livelihood. All we knew was hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And then when hip hop first started, it was about block parties. You know, the Bronx. It started in the Bronx, but you know what I'm saying? From there, everybody knew about block parties. It was block parties in every borough. You know, niggas would take the DJ equipment and plug it up to the light post. You know what I'm saying? And hip hop and rap was about dudes bragging about each other. You know what I'm saying? The DJ come out, make the DJ show. His crews battling each other. I was a break dancer. I was with a crew called the Main Rockers back then. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, well.
Yeah. So
Okay.
like we had a lot of fun, and it was just friendly, fun competition. And the craft was real back then. You know what I'm saying? So me growing up, like hip hop just is my life. Like even to today. I can never get hip hop out my system. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck if I turn 90 years old. I'm gonna still be making beats if I can. If these fingers still work, I'm gonna do what I could do because it's just in my heart. I don't do it for the money. You know what I'm saying? No more. Back then it was for the money when I got into it and was producing. But and I never was I never was a musical dude. I was a street dude. I was getting in trouble. I got in trouble. I did 8 years from the years 16 to like 26, 29. And I came home and then I got thrusted into music shit. So, you know, I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. And my people's always, and shout out to Gavin Ray, because Gavin is who introduced me to Salt, who put me in the gang, Salt from Salt and Pepper.
Salt and
You know what
Pepper.
I'm saying? Yeah.
Right.
Gavin was her husband. And you know what I'm saying, at the time, he seen I was when I came home from prison in '93, he seen me about to go back to prison. So the
Okay.
nigga was like, nigga, nah, come over here with me and just chill with us in the studio. And I never knew shit about a beat machine, nothing, no nothing. You know
Wow.
what I'm saying?
Right.
So hip hop been in me. I just, found out I had a gift at that point. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So basically, when you got together and linked up with Salt, Gavin and Salt, uh, that was pretty much the beginning of when you started getting interested in beats, or were you just hanging around? At what point did you start getting interested in actually making beats?
Well, I was just hanging around at first. Like when I came home from up north, I was kind of brolic. I'm 6'5". Like I came home like 280. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying? And I was on some just trying, and that's when. And it's funny because I always tell my dudes, and my dudes on the block always talk. That's when Friday came out, and Devo used to go around tapping niggas' pockets. I thought I was Devo, nigga. I used to go around and tell yo, what y'all niggas got on my 40? You know what I'm saying? When I first came home, but niggas used to just joke and play on my block about the shit, but um. I didn't think nothing about it. And then Gavin said, yo, just because I was kind of big and I was a little goonish at the time, he said, yo, just, be Salt's bodyguard at the time. So I was just hanging out with them. And if anything went wrong when we went to different clubs or something, I was there, you know what I'm saying, with them. Not
Gotcha.
like per se bodyguard or whatever. I just was like watching
Yeah.
over the situation. That's my man. And
Right.
that's his girl, you know what I'm saying? So we just hung out in the studio, and then one day it was a bunch of keyboards on a rack. I remember that shit. And I seen my man Free. He used to use a whole bunch of the other keyboards, making beats and shit for Salt and Pepper. They made the Shoot beat, all that with my man
Okay.
Kwani. I was there when they did all of that. So, but
Wow.
it was a keyboard there they never used. That was just there, and it was the ASR 10 keyboard. I
Okay.
never knew what the fuck that shit was. My man Free was like, yo, this is an MP. And I'm just watching these niggas in the studio do shit. So Salt one day said, yo, Self, I'm just fucking with the keys on some bullshit. Salt said, take that shit home, man. Figure that shit out. You know what I'm saying? No manual, no keyboard, no instructions, no nothing. She said, this is all we got. Take it home and see if you could, flip it. It's a sampler.
Huh.
I took that shit home and I locked myself in the basement, man. And that's when I figured out I liked producing.
Okay.
Because I made some beats. I sampled from tapes from a cassette deck,
Yeah.
the old Walkmans. You know what I'm saying? I
Right.
ran the wire to the ASR 10. I'm sampling from there. Then I'm making the joints. I record them. I went out on the drug block where all my niggas was at. And niggas like, listen to me like, nigga, these shits is fucking fire. And I'm like, oh shit. All right. So I went back in the crib, fucking around again and getting a little better at it. And you know, that's when I figured out, well, after okay, I was at, if any of you are familiar with Harlem, we used to go to the Grant's Tomb back in the days. If niggas knew the Grant's Tomb shit.
Okay.
So we on 125th, I'm in my man car and we playing the beats out the car. Everybody walking down 125th by the Apollo. And Smif and Wessun from Cocoa Brothers was walking by. I didn't know who they was. They was walking by and they heard the beats playing out the car. And they was like, yo, who beats is these? You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, shit, nigga, they mines, what's up? And I'm thinking it's a problem. I don't know who niggas is. I'm just, you know what I'm saying? So they like, no, let's go to, you want to come to the studio? And they invited me to the studio. My
Wow.
man said, come on, man, we got to go to the studio. So I went with them to the studio and I ended up selling 5 beats to them.
Just like that.
Nigga, just like that, and for a substantial amount of money. I like, mind you, I was doing penny bullshit hustling. Niggas was giving me sneaker money. I'm on the block, you know, hustling for other niggas. I wasn't making no real money. I'm working for the other niggas. So I never seen that type of money that's mine without it being illegal or getting in trouble or nothing like that. So I said, you know what? I love this shit. You know what I'm saying? And I dedicated to my life to that shit from there. You know what I'm saying?
Wow, that's good. So one quick question: when you said you locked yourself in the room and was trying to figure the keyboard out, what's kind of like the time frame between that point to when you got it to like yo, this is one beat that I've really made and formulated it? Like, what was was it talking about weeks, a month?
I think it was like a couple of weeks. And then I remember the first beat I made that I really liked. And I don't remember the sample, but I made some shit and I was like, ooh, I like this shit. You know what I'm saying? Out of everything I was experimenting with, but if I fuck around and liked it, then I played it for some people and they was like, yo, this shit crazy. And that really gave me more to push too, because that one beat that I like, niggas was like an extra. So, you know, well, my niggas in my neighborhood, you know what I'm saying? Because that's who used to, you know, push me to the shit. But that's when, you know, I remember that first beat. But then I made the, it took me about a week or two, a couple of weeks or a couple of months. And then I found that I liked. And that's actually one of the beats that I shopped to Smif and Wessun when they heard the beats. You know what I'm saying?
That one that you liked a lot?
Yeah.
Okay. Did they use it?
No, they didn't use it. When I went to the studio, they heard other shit and was like, no, we want this. You know what I'm saying?
So did anybody ever use that one beat you liked?
Nah.
No? Oh.
But I loved it. I still remember it. Sometimes you feel like I want to try and make it over now.
I
You know
was going to say, man, why don't you try to do that over? Maybe somebody will jump on it.
If I could hear that sample again, I swear to God, I'll make that bitch over again. But that was it. And then, you know, my first record I ever produced that came out on the radio was Black Trump for Smif and Wessun.
With Raekwon on it, right?
With Raekwon on it. You know what I'm saying? And I remember niggas calling me like, yo, we hear your shit on the radio. I'm like, oh shit, word. I'm trying to listen. But the feeling was just like the best shit, man. Like I said, I was on some dumb shit. And then to see that I didn't have to stay on the dumb shit, you know what I'm saying? And still make some money. I can't explain that feeling. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, I could imagine. I could imagine hearing that first song on the radio for the first time. Must have drove you crazy.
Were you in the studio for the recording process of Black Trump with Raekwon and Smif and Wessun?
Yeah.
Can you take us back to that recording process? Some of your best memories of seeing those legends together on your track.
Well, it was such a long time ago, so it's kind of hard, like, remembering every last thing. I just remember that's when I became very good friends with Tech and Smoke. That whole process of me producing for them for that album, because I sold 5 beats to them. Then I sold about 4 or 5 beats to Ruck and Rock,
Oh wow,
which was
okay.
their label mate, Sean Price.
Yeah, yeah.
Like they was
Right.
my niggas. And I did a joint for them. I remember called "Rock the World" on that on one of the last joints they did. But I sold joints to them too. So me, Rock, the Rockless Monster, Tech, and all them, they became good friends. And then Steele's wife grew up with me in my neighborhood. She's his manager now.
Uh,
So
um, yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I can't
and
remember her name.
that's his wife. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
we all grew up together. So the camaraderie there, I just remember us having a lot of fun. You know what I'm saying? And it was done in D&D Studios. You know what I'm saying? The infamous.
Mm,
A lot
Yeah,
of dudes don't know
right.
about that. D&D Studios was the shit
hell yeah.
back in the day. You get in D&D Studios, you made it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like that shit was the shit back in the days. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
we had a lot of fun, man, recording them records, man. That's all I can remember. I can't remember too much because, like I said, it was such a while ago. But to this day, I still talk to Steel and Smoke. You know what I'm saying?
nice, nice.
Right.
Mhm.
At this point, are you beginning to see that it's going to be a business? And at what point do you really start taking it serious as far as paperwork?
I always took the paperwork. Well, let me say this, right? I went through a situation with the okay. Gavin managed me through the whole Smith and Wesson stuff. He the one that I got the keyboard from Salt, and then he was managing me at the time. So he got me to when I went to Smith and Wesson sessions, he went with me. Like so, we all was family together. And then from there, Onyx heard about me, and then Onyx then had me come into their joint. They heard the Shut 'Em Down track, and then we went into production on the Shut 'Em Down.
Mm,
But from the paperwork, I got a little tangled up with Shut 'Em Down a little bit in the beginning, and I caught the fuckery from the beginning,
Mm,
and I checked and fixed it from
okay,
the beginning.
so you caught
So
it
once
early.
I checked and fixed it, I said, I got it from now on. I got to be aware that this shit could go sideways if I don't stay on top of my paperwork in my game. So from the Onyx shit on is when I was like solely on some other shit to make sure my papers were together. And then I got with
right.
a couple of managers, different managers. Me and Gavin and went ways, and I got with L'Oreal Coppage. She used to manage up at Trackmasters. And then
Yep.
she put me on to some shit, and she got me my accountant and my lawyer, all that shit. So I had the whole team that made sure everything was okay with me from that point on. You know what I'm saying?
You mentioned Onyx earlier on. Can you take us back to meeting those guys and their recording process over your tracks?
Yeah. All I can say is like my best sessions that I remember being involved in was Smokey with Smith and Wesson and with Onyx.
Really.
Onyx, like Fredro Stick, that whole clique was crazy, son. Crazy, son. Like and I don't know if y'all remember the DJ DS. No, LS1. LS1 was the DJ at the time. He
Yeah,
did the
yeah, yeah.
scratches on my record with Onyx, the face down joint, when it's face down on the pavement. He did the scratches. But that studio, man, we was up by Daddy's house, like the studio was behind up in Daddy's house. But nigga, them sessions was so crazy, man.
Yeah. So
Yo, crazy.
did you?
Fredro, like that whole slam and throw your guns in the air, that was that era. Shut
Yeah.
'Em Down came
Right.
out after all of that.
Mm,
Right.
That Shut 'Em Down was their last album on Def Jam. So they
Right.
had already did slam and throw your guns in the air and doom, doom,
Last
last
days.
days. They had done all that shit, but I was fucking with them during that. But I caught the Shut 'Em Down situation. So, you know, it's just crazy. That whole slam Onyx throw your guns era, that shit was crazy. Them niggas was on top.
yeah, yeah. Hell yeah.
On
Did
top at
you?
that time.
Did you know about them? You know, coming from Queens, did you already know about them prior to working with them? Like as far as just
No,
from
I knew
Queens?
about them and liked the music and rep the Queen shit. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't know them. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know them. What happened was I was in my man's basement making beats. My man had a barbershop making the beats in the basement. And then uh, my man Edema, who ended up being my manager too, his name was Edema. And everybody know him that ran with Onyx, that Def Jam, Kevin Lyles, Leo, everybody know Edema. So Edema was getting a haircut in the barbershop. He listening to hear the beats in the basement. He's like, yo, you got to come to the studio with Onyx. That's how it always happened. Niggas just hear my shit and be like, nigga, you got to go to the studio. So him and the dude named Clay the Raider, they made sure I got down to the studio with Onyx. And then the rest was history, man. Like, yeah, even we diving into, and this is the first time anybody even asked me these type of questions, but I'm gonna be honest. I just been in a beautiful position. God put me in decent positions, dog. Like, it's not by my hand things happen the way they did. Like me, I'm just out of prison. I don't understand what the fuck is going on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, all I know is I was in prison, upstate, come home, now I'm thrusted into this music shit. I'm fucking money up and bitches. I mean, the shit was just crazy. The shit was crazy. I'm blowing money, like, the shit was crazy. I was reckless, but God put me in a nice position and for an experience for me to learn, so it made me the person I am today. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But as far as with the Onyx shit, I didn't know them beforehand, and Eat 'em Up put me in that position where I got close with them, and we tight to this day. Like, tight. You know what I'm saying?